Welcome to Bonn Park. I'm Sara Geidlinger.
And I'm Marshall Ward.
And today we have Amy Ballantyne. Amy is a nutritional therapist and a wellness coach and just an all-around let me help you get your life together.
She's super positive and it's infectious. Just listening to her. I could listen to her all day.
Oh, I love her laugh. I love her smile. She actually reached out to us to come talk to us on the show, and we learned a ton of stuff, especially what our poop is supposed to look like.
Yeah, she's writing a book and we're going to hear all about that.
Here she is, Amy Ballantyne.
Welcome to Bonn Park.
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 Do you enjoy Bonn Park podcast?
If so, we would really appreciate it if you
Leave a review.
like, rate, subscribe, but most importantly,
Share directly from the platforms.
with your family and friends. That's the best way to get the word out to everybody, and more people will get to see our show that way. So click those like buttons and share our show. Thank you.
Thanks.
On with the show. This is it. Bonn Park is supported by the St. Jacobs Farmers Market. The market is a community landmark of more than half a century and is the largest agricultural market in Canada. Whatever you crave, you'll find it there. Whether it's country classics like fresh apple fritters, cinnamon rolls, and Oktoberfest sausage on a bun. And the market also has a world of flavors to explore with Korean, Vietnamese, Egyptian, Haitian, and Mediterranean cuisines, among others. Want to cook at home? The market has fresh fruits and vegetables, quality meats and seafood, locally made cheeses and preserves, and oils and honey. Many of the food vendors offer pre-made frozen options that you can save for those busy nights where you want a healthy homemade meal but are short on time. The St. Jacobs Market remains open during the current stay-at-home order, with extensive safety precautions in place. Open Thursdays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. There are over 60 food vendors on site working hard to continue to supply you and your family with fresh and local products. And here's a word from Justina.
I love going to the market with my family on Saturdays. Follow St. Jacobs Farmers Market on Facebook, Instagram, and at stjacobsmarket.com. Bonn Park is supported by Cooper's and Green Orthodontics.
Dr. Cooper's and Dr. Green give people reasons to smile. They specialize in orthodontic treatments like braces and clear aligners for adults and children. The team at Cooper's and Green will help you or your child smile with confidence and pride. Along with state-of-the-art techniques and expertise, the Coopers and Green team have warm and helpful approaches for any patient. Ever wanted to develop your ideal smile, but you've been concerned about orthodontics? Coopers and Green will answer all your questions and help you make the choices that work for you. Strong supporters of our community, providing scholarships to local students along with free public swims and skates, Coopers and Green Orthodontics are located at 96 Union Street East in Waterloo. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, and at coopersgreenortho.com. KUPPERSGREENE ortho.com. Live your life smiling. Here's a message from Summer.
I had an expander from Coopers and Green. Although it was a tough experience, they made it comfortable and friendly.
Bonn Park is supported by Graham A. Giddy Funeral Homes. The family-owned funeral home has served the Waterloo and Wellington regions for nearly 4 decades. The longevity is a testament to the kindness, compassion, and professionalism of the Graham A. Giddy Funeral Homes team. Amid the passing of a loved one, you want the celebration of their life to be done right. Graham A. Giddy's funeral staff members will help you find the arrangements that work for you and for those close to you. Their beautiful chapels in Fergus and Elora date back to the 19th century. Their North Waterloo facility, opened in 2017, is beautifully sunlit and spacious. Graham A. Giddy Funeral Homes has helped countless families through difficult times. Visit Graham A. Giddy Funeral Homes online at grahamgiddyfh.com. All right, we'll get right into it. Amy Ballantyne, thank you so much for joining us.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We're so glad you reached out to us and said, this is what I do. This is who I am. I would love to come and talk to you on your show. We're all about local. That's what we do. So I think we want to get started by asking just that question. What do you do?
Awesome. Thank you very much. I am a local health and wellness coach for individuals who want to go to the next level and feel better. What does the better actually mean? It's different for everyone. I don't believe in a one size fits all approach to health. And that's why I have my coaching business, so that it can be very personalized and specific to each individual person. So we work on the things that are priorities for that person versus an agenda that I might have separate. And it can be a wide range of looking at how to make their meals healthier, all the way down to how they're talking to themselves, that mindset, the self-talk that is, constantly beating themselves up. There's a whole spectrum of ways that I can support people. Yes, I think that there's a big link to what was role modeled for us in our younger lives as well, around how we speak to ourselves, how our parents spoke to themselves in front of us, or the people that were influential in our lives spoke to themselves around us, made a difference for sure. So that's definitely one of the things that I work on with my clients. If that's the thing that's really what they want to focus on, is the self-talk, we dive in a little bit more to what do they want to be saying to themselves, and have somebody holding them accountable to a big one, honestly, is the word should. So we talk about that quite a bit, and what is the alternative that they want to say, and how are they catching themselves? Accountability for themselves and awareness around how we're treating ourselves it's huge. And that's how the shifts are being made.
The should. Oh my gosh. I feel like we're getting a free session. I've been guilty of the shoulds before, and automatically when you use that word, you are setting yourself up for finishing that sentence negatively. I should be doing this. You should be doing this. They should be doing, right? Instead of being like, here's what I can do, and here's what they're doing to do their best, right?
Here's what I want to do. And I absolutely am a person who's come from the should world. So I know how it feels to be in that place, and how it feels to come out the other side as well.
So how did you get into this work?
Yeah. So my real story about getting into my passion for health and wellness, actually with some deeper awareness, really stemmed from my childhood. Actually, my mom lost both of her parents before she was 10. And so when I was growing up, I heard about these people that I never got to meet. And this really fueled in me this desire to want to live long enough to know my future grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Oh, I think about this all the time, Amy. I'm with you.
Oh my gosh. So it is like, I've not been perfect my whole life, but I can say that I've lived with that intention of, I want to be healthy enough to live long enough. And I do deeply believe, like truly to my core, that every single choice that we make around our health, even how we talk to ourselves, all of these bits and pieces add up to what our future self can be, right? So how we eat right now, how we move our body, how we talk to ourselves, how we sleep, the water we drink, all of it impacts our future health.
Amy, my wife Sylvia and I just had this conversation kind of like 18 years later. We talked about our prenatal class that we took for our first daughter. Yeah. And it was amazingly informative. We learned about epidurals and episiotomies and all these amazing words and how everything would work. All the nuts and bolts of childbirth, really. And but I realized that it was completely void of what happens afterwards, and how there was nothing. We had no education with regard to what our life, especially Sylvia's, would look like after the baby was born, and the months that would follow. And then she went back to work after 4 months. But I mean, we just were completely not in any way prepared with any knowledge about what happens. It's so weird.
We're all raising our hands.
If you had asked me at the time, I would have said that prenatal class was 5-star. It was amazing. But anyways, something must have come along the way that started putting more focus and care into the mom after childbirth and her well-being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do work with women of all stages when it comes to being a mother, for sure. And oh my gosh, we could have a 15-hour podcast probably on helpful tips. But one of the things that I would say for any newer parent listening is to trust your instinct and your gut. And sometimes, we can hear these tips and strategies from
So much
outside.
chatter. There's so much of that chatter coming at you that you should again.
Yes.
That word.
Yes. But if we can, take some info in and really sit with what feels right for you and for your partner, for your husband, for your wife, and what feels right for how you want to be in that time with your baby and what's going to work for you. That's the message for us in any stage of life, right? What works for you versus what should happen or what diet is telling you this or, but taking the pressure off as a new parent as well to have everything perfect. Holy smokes. I have 3 kids, and when our third one came along, people kind of looked at me like I had 3 heads. It felt like they were looking at me like that because I was so laid back and relaxed.
By a 4th one, you'd be like, yeah, they just raised
Holy smokes.
Start the fire, honey.
Yeah, I was such a different person. And I said right after that, I wish that I could have spoken to my previous self as the mother of 3, but to the mother of 1, that brand new baby, to say, it's okay. And the amount of stress that we put on ourselves around what diaper and what formula. And, there's lots of big decisions that we're going to help our kids, to become the people that they will become. But we do put a lot of pressure and stress on ourselves as well.
It seems like any advice that people wanted to give you, it was very them centric. So here's what happened to me, and this is how I dealt with it. Instead of like, don't worry, like you're going to figure this out. But like you said, trust your gut, and all the tough moments and stages that you go through, they're going to change. So there's like light at the end of the tunnel. Typically, I mean, there's situations where somebody has a health or medical problem that you're going to have to deal with forever, and hopefully, have the tools and the support for that. But that's what I felt like. I felt like there was constant chatter, and like I'm old enough that my kids, when they were little, we didn't have social media and like cell phones in our hands and iPhones in our hands. So, and that wasn't that long ago. But that constant, like the app is telling you should be doing this with your kids, especially in this isolated time right now. They see maybe somebody who's homeschooling and they're crushing it and they're posting that perfect moment. You have to remind yourselves, like, they're not posting that, maybe
all the other
somebody threw a coffee cup at somebody else today, like, get the hell out of my face kind of thing. You're never posting that. I once had someone say that to me. You post when the kids were smaller, like you post the most beautiful, healthy, tofu and kale dinners, and the kids are eating them. I'm like, we had crackers and jam last night for dinner because that was my capacity.
Yes.
That's as best I could do. I don't post that.
Yes. But wouldn't it be great if we could see the real deal? And I often talk with my clients about that too. Are we comparing apples to apples ever? No. Never are we comparing apples to apples, right?
Yeah.
So
it's somebody's churned organic applesauce, squished together by fairies in an organic field versus like, I think this apple's still good because I found it under the seat of the car. Like that's what we're comparing most times when we're talking parenting.
Yes.
Amy, in those first few months after childbirth, how do you talk to women about sleep? Because truthfully, there is no such thing as real normal sleep, is there? Like after those first few months?
I still don't have it. Maybe I need Amy's help.
So where do you even begin that conversation with women who are at that first early stage where a full night's sleep is still a long ways away and a nap just isn't gonna really, I don't think so.
Well, I would be lying if I said I had some magic, toolkit. The way that I support my clients would be to help them to carve out as much sleep as they possibly can. And that often requires the mom to ask for help.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yes, and to be okay with someone else being a part of this journey And if we think to those nationalities, those family units who still have the older generation living with them, the grandparents living with them, or their whole extended family is nearby, they live in close communities, that kind of thing, those families have more support. My family didn't live close to me. They're an hour away. My husband's family is 2 hours away. We didn't have people right here, but could I have done a better job asking my husband for help? Absolutely. But it's that creation of trust. So when I'm talking with the client, it's helping them to identify how it will impact them to feel better, and how can we help them to feel better. It's not going to happen overnight. They're not going to get good sleep. I'm lying if I said you get good sleep anytime soon, right? But can you have more sleep? Can you have maybe longer chunks of sleep if you allowed for more help, or you allowed for, we're in COVID. I mean, this is a weird time. So whoever you've bubbled with, maybe even to come in and allow you to have a longer nap. So baby's napping for maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours, and this person can feed the bottle or change the diaper and give it an extra 30 minutes or 15 minutes. I mean, every minute counts, right? So it's helping them to consider allowing someone else to be a part of the journey with them. And then there's some techniques around sleep that they might want to try out. So perhaps the baby is sleeping right beside them in a bassinet, or maybe they're a co-sleeper. I did co-sleeping for a long time, but during the napping time, that's when I went somewhere else and I put baby either in the bassinet, or I went I let my husband take care of the baby then. But and I use the word let, like that's ridiculous, right?
No, but it's true though. Like, I like that you use the word let, because I was going to say hand in hand with asking for help is something, because same thing. I didn't have parental support or aunts and uncles helping out or any of that kind of stuff. And neither did you, Marshall. It was you and Sylvia against the world, right?
Right. By choice though.
Which is fine. But for me, the let was letting things go. Should I lie down right now with baby or without baby and have some sleep? Or should I do those 5 million things that I know I need to get done? I can sleep when I'm dead kind of theory, right? Oh, no. Which ends up being true then.
The dishes can wait.
I struggled with that, but that's the let. You have to let that go. You have to let people help. You have to, asking for help is part of a strength, not a weakness, I think.
Absolutely. And when the mom has the opportunity to close her eyes, having something like a noisemaker, so she really can tune out any noises, having earplugs, having eye mask, room darkening blinds. I mean, my kids still have room darkening blinds in all of their rooms to give them the best sleep. How many parents give themselves the gift of that cozy environment in their sleep environment, right? So helping that mom have the most conducive space to have even a smaller, shorter chunks of sleep, but better quality, that would be absolutely something that I would encourage.
So Marshall, you were a stay-at-home dad while Sylvia was working. How did you deal with sleep?
Yeah, so I was a full-time stay-at-home dad for 8 years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And bad sleep just became the norm.
Same. Yeah. I think I'm still in it.
Yeah. And you live in a fog for a long time. And for me, what I experienced in the first year and the years following was a real loss of identity. I was a very successful. I'm
gonna put my hands and feet are up here.
I was an artist who was doing art exhibitions, and I had this idea that I was going to, once the baby was born, I was going to be a full-time stay-at-home dad because my wife had a good, steady job as a quality assurance manager, and that I was going to keep being an artist, and I was going to paint.
And you're going to have this baby on the hip, art life.
Yeah. And there's so many reasons why that didn't work out. One of them was I just didn't have the mental energy for it, and my creativity was gone. So I really, in hindsight now, I realized that I experienced a real loss of identity there. And I remember also feeling some sense of shame when people would say, "Hey, how's the painting going? Do you have any exhibitions coming up?" And I would say, "No, I'm at home looking after my child." And nobody said it, but you felt like they were thinking, oh, well, what else are you doing?
Oh my God, Marshall,
Yeah.
I literally had people say to me and my husband, well, what does she do all day?
Right.
I'm running a business and I got kids here. That's what I'm doing.
The funniest, most vivid memory is we had a new bed being delivered, and there's these guys delivering the bed, and they came in at 1 o'clock, and I think they had to delay it a couple hours, and they said, are you okay? You have to go to work? I said, no. And when they arrived with this big mattress in bed, they said, did you take the day off work? And I said, no, I'm a stay-at-home dad. And these guys go, must be nice, right? And I wanted to say, what?
The must be nice. Oh, my blood curdles a little bit. It curdles.
Oh, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
Kind of
oh, must be nice.
But I will say, would you agree that with COVID, I think there's a better appreciation?
I was just talking to an artist friend of mine too, that she is a freelance artist, does a lot of graphic work. And she said, for the first time in my entire career, I'm being taken seriously because I work at home. Before that, I was not getting jobs because I didn't have a bricks and mortar office.
I know.
And she's crushing it. And yeah, a little part of me, when this all happened, was like, oh yeah, we'll see how you feel about what must be nice now.
Right.
You know, totally.
I can absolutely relate to that.
Amy,
So-
I want to ask you,
sorry.
sorry, I was going to ask Amy about the impact she's seen on moms with COVID. So I'll give you two examples. One is I talked to a new mom this summer who I was telling her how great Laurel Creek Conservation Area is.
Love it.
And how I wish I discovered it when our girls were really young, because it's such a big open space and very relaxing. And she said, I've been really careful and hesitant about going anywhere where there's people in that way, and too many people. And I said, okay. But also I think about how I often relied heavily on like shopping malls and aquarium stores and stuff when my girls were really little, because I thought they were good places for stimuli. They were, especially in the winter months.
Library.
We'd go and spend an hour at Big Al's Aquarium just looking at fish, because it was the winter time and there was lots of sights and sounds and smells in there.
Yes.
And it also helped my day move along, and I was out and active, and you'd have a little chat with an adult once in a while.
Something to look forward to, right? Like that.
Yeah, but these things a lot of this must have been taken away for either new moms or moms with toddlers. What have you seen with regards to 2020?
Absolutely. That is the case. For the few new moms that I do work with, they're struggling to find the outside activities. Now we've had a window of improvement, as we know, in this area. But more people are, when they feel comfortable, they're out at parks. However, they seem to be, again, social distance. There's not that same getting to meet people at parks, right? Because they see that other people are there, so they keep walking. They don't stop to chat necessarily as long. There have been still the opportunity to go to things like libraries, but a lot of these programs have been shut down. So I can honestly say that I would not want to be a parent of a toddler in this time. So some strategies are things like, there's drawing, there's online things to tap into, like lots of museums started doing tours that, kids could watch the animals and you can have a conversation or draw the animal, that kind of thing. The parent has to, unfortunately, become even more creative than we already were challenged to be. So the majority of clients that I work with actually are women, but I do work with men as well. One big category is the female, like you were talking about, actually, how you lost your identity is, there are some stay-at-home dads, but I've mostly attracted stay-at-home moms or moms of a little bit older, in that their children about 10 or older, right? A self-sufficient child for the most part. And they're starting to have a little bit more time. Either they are entrepreneurs or they're professionals and their kids are, out of sports or out of the house, that older age of children. And they're trying to find who they want to be, and they're prepping for this new world where they're not required by their kids every single hour of every single day, right? So that's the core group of women that I mostly support, that they've lost themselves, they feel disconnected, they want to feel more confident, they want to feel more more healthy, less stressed. That's the core group of individuals that I serve. But I've actually, through COVID, I started doing lunch and learns for corporate groups. And that has been a really great way for me to serve the community. And now I'm branching out even beyond our region. So that has opened up a new group of individuals that I'm serving, in that these people are working professionals. They want somebody to hold them accountable for their wellness and lifestyle goals that they have. And sometimes we're talking about time management and organization in their home, because the clutter and the stress of home is causing them to not be able to be as productive at work and focused at work, but at work is now at home. Yeah. Right. So I've been working with some of these clients in a different way than I've worked with my quote unquote mom clients, to help them be accountable to similar things, but they're a different grouping of people. And then the last group of people that I would say that I work with is individuals who want specific help around their nutrition. Mm-hmm. So whether they want that guidance around how to make that meal healthier, what nutrients they may be, lacking a little bit, and they want support, and they want supplement guidance and support, how to buy those quality options. I have a product partner that I'm aligned with for the past 12 years, so I can support them with something that I personally use with my own family. But those are the three kind of big categories of people that I've been working with.
And Amy, what do you say to those moms who are looking to make changes in their diet, and then they say to you, "Wow, it sure is expensive to eat healthy"?
I would actually start by finding out why they want to get healthy. Right? There's a conversation that needs to happen first to determine how serious they are about making these shifts, and then we look at where did that belief come from. And is it something that they want to shift? And then we would perhaps, and I usually do some different techniques in my coaching, but one of the things that I would ask them is to perhaps go to the grocery store and see if they can find an option a little bit healthier than what they may have already been making. Let's just say they've always been eating canned beans. Okay. Is there something that's a little bit healthier that's in their price range, right? And we might dive into, if it's a real cost thing, not a mindset thing, looking at where are the shifts in their budget that they want to make to allot for a little bit more money. If that is in fact the case, that perhaps they want to try and eat more organic meat. Okay, so where is the shift that they can make to free up some money for that organic meat, right? Do I believe that it does cost? I think it does cost a little bit more, but the question that I would pose back to them is, what is their health worth, and how much does it cost when they're really ill and have to have tons and tons of medical bills that aren't covered by our amazing healthcare coverage, right? So I personally believe, again, that, if you were to look at where we spend our money in our family, a lot of the money goes to things around health because we value that so much. So what do they value? Is there a shift that might be possible? But it often sounds like a mindset thing, that there's some block there. Sometimes it's around worthiness, that they don't feel like they deserve to have the higher quality for whatever reason. There's so many things that it could be, but that's where I dive into a little bit more about that person's specific situation.
Mm-hmm. And Amy, have you worked with any women who, so you said that your mom lost both her parents by the age of 10.
Yep.
Yeah, you must have met some women who have also suffered incredible loss. How did these women get back and reclaim their happiness? I think about your mom's situation. Just how does a little girl grow up without a mother from the age of 10 on and become a mother herself and a happy, well-rounded individual? I don't know the answer.
I think one day at a time, trying to have a positive attitude. I've not worked with anyone with that similar of a story to my mom, but like looking to her experience, she has a positive attitude, and she tries her best. And I think that's a message for all of us, right? Is to embrace the day with that positive attitude as much as we possibly can, and look for the positives in things. Show compassion and empathy. I mean, that's one of my mom's greatest strengths, is her compassion and empathy for other people.
I think sometimes too, there's an element of, like, your mom didn't have an opportunity to get down and out about it. Like, life kept moving forward, and that was her reality, right? So I think for a lot of people, maybe it's, I don't know the numbers or the stats or anything, but I'm just kind of trying to draw a parallel here. I think for a lot of people, it's easy to fall down a doom and gloom path, like you said, or to choose positivity and keep moving forward because this is your life. Like, I can join them in the other side, or I can keep moving forward, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amy, when I think about your career, it's not something I think a lot of little girls think about. This is what I want to do when I grow up. So I always wonder how you find your way into nutrition and health in this area, because honestly, in high school, I don't remember ever meeting anybody who said this is what I want to do and this is the road I want to go down. I'm so curious about how this evolves out of.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So it's really interesting, actually, because in university, I took kinesiology at Laurier. Awesome program. And during the time in university, I knew I wanted to do something in health, but I couldn't quite figure out what that might look like. I dabbled in, maybe I'll go do physio, and I have, some things about that. So that didn't really pan out for where I wanted to go. And I volunteered a lot with a bunch of sports teams as their athletic trainer. And I thought, okay, maybe I could go do this. But how often do you see female athletic trainers like pregnant on the side of a football field? Like, very rare, right? And it's a hard job to get into, right? Yeah. So there are wonderful female trainers, wonderful. But I didn't want, the challenge for me, honestly, was that I didn't want to give up the life that I wanted. The vision that I had was that I wanted to be a mom, and I somehow wanted to use my passion and my enthusiasm and my purpose around health to serve people, but I had no idea what I could do in order to make money doing that.
Right.
So then, some things kind of spiraled from university, and that I worked in student services there, the leadership role, the mentorship role of people, coaching, that kind of energy came naturally to me. And then I went and worked for this company. Back up. I worked for Laurier Brantford for a little while in recreation. So I was kind of dabbling in health, and okay, this feels more aligned. And then I took a job as a person planning scavenger hunts around the world. And wow, very interesting, right? But what I learned in that role was that I was meant to be my own boss.
That's an important one.
Yes. And I knew that I wanted to do something in that way. And I got introduced to this nutritional company 12 years ago while I was doing that work. And it was the first time that I could see the light of connecting the life that I wanted, where I could work from home, work for myself, and earn an income and be a mom the level that I wanted. So this is not projecting my beliefs onto anyone else. I wanted to be able to go on field trips. I wanted to be able to go pick my kids up from school and drop them off and be a part of their lives as much as I possibly could. But I also still wanted to have my ability to have a career. Mm-hmm. And that's really how it kind of morphed over time, is that I grew in my skills around coaching and mentoring as I started this nutritional business. And then I started to get really clear that people have been coming to me for years for coaching and guidance and mentorship, and I was making no money from that.
Right.
So I was not a good example of a person who, you know what? I am a good example of the client that I like working with, in that I didn't feel enough. I didn't feel worthy of being paid. And then I made a shift.
We're artists, so we have been there.
You know, right? So I can greatly relate to those women who don't feel enough. They don't feel worthy of earning more. All of those things, and we're all a work in progress. But I truly feel like I'm living in alignment and living out what I'm meant to be doing every single time I have a chance to be on a coaching call with someone, because the aha moments that are coming for these people, for the awarenesses that are coming in between our coaching calls because of what's come up, it's just truly incredible to witness. So thank you for asking that.
I love that. I recently saw this graphic on Instagram, probably, that was what I thought success looked like. And the first pie is 2 pie charts. The first one was hard work.
Yeah.
That's success. And then the second one below says what success actually looks like. And there's, a piece for hard work and a piece for family time and a piece for sleep and a piece for exercise and a piece for creative outlet and a piece for reading. And I'm like, I think I fall far too heavily in the first category than I do in the second. We let sleep slide. We let nutrition slide for sure. Things are so convenient. And definitely when that hard work part of the pie is too big, exercise is out the window. That's for sure. So when people are calling you for coaching, like, you're talking nutrition, there's Reiki involved. Do you do Reiki actually?
I do Reiki. I haven't since, honestly, since COVID, I haven't.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Kind of hard through the computer screen.
Well, there are some practitioners who can.
Wow.
But that is not, if anything, I'm moving away from that service and really honing in on connecting and attracting those individuals who really want to, feel happier, feel more confident, less stressed, healthier, stronger habits. Those people are the people that are individuals I want to connect with.
So getting away from the Reiki is almost like you're adapting to what we're all going
Absolutely.
through. That you're streamlining what that service is. So it's true, right? So you keep coming back to this one mantra that's feeling happier, feeling better, feeling like their true selves. And that is the conversation you're going to have with somebody when they call you up, right? So it's going to be nutrition. It's going to be how much are you moving? Like, are you doing online workouts, or are you just like, here's how much you need to move this week? How are you handling that?
Yeah. So when it comes to exercise, I defer to professionals who absolutely are pumped about that work. I was trained as a personal trainer and did that work for a while, but, I see friends like my friend Carrie Hallman at Fitness 360. She lives and breathes fitness. That's not me.
And that's who you need for that, right?
Right. So I like to point to the individuals and connect people with the people who could serve them in that category. But it is more led by the client as to what kind of support they want. So if you came to me, Sarah, and you were talking about feeling happier, I would be asking you some very specific questions about what does happier look like for you. Which of those is the area you want to focus on today? Because today is the now. And really, truly, when you think about all the times that someone or yourself, someone in your sphere has said, I'm going on this new kick and I'm going to do this, and I'm pointing to all my fingers. Okay.
It's so much stuff at once.
10 things that they're going to load onto this already crazy.
It's not sustainable. You're right. Yeah.
Is it even possible?
No.
Right. So if you try and put all those 10 things into your already busy life, are you going to be successful for longer than a couple of weeks? Probably not. You're going to feel a tremendous amount of burnout because it's too much, right?
And they become shoulds probably.
Oh my gosh. And then because you're not successful, you then beat yourself up because you weren't successful, and therefore you'll never be successful because you were not successful. Oh my gosh.
Right? I'm laughing because I'm relating.
It's like this whirlwind of oh my gosh, right? So that's where I would start with you. And that's why I'm a little bit different in that I don't call myself a nutritionist because I want to talk about the whole picture, not just nutrition. And if the thing that's most important to you right now, Sarah, if the thing that is most important is that you want to work on your sleep, that's the thing that we're going to focus on. And I'm going to ask you some really good questions to help you be accountable to something. And then we're going to stepping stone that to see that over time, you're going to have these massive shifts in your health in your life, but it's not going to happen like that.
Right. That was the sassiest, coolest snap. I wish our listeners could have seen that. That was great. Yeah. I want to just ask one more thing, and then I know Marshall has a question, and I just keep on talking. Just one more thing about sleep. Like, I think everyone struggles. I mean, some people struggle, they sleep too much, right? Some people don't sleep enough. Some people try and work it in. But I also it's hilarious to me, sleep. Isn't it hilarious that we have to shut down and recharge our batteries every day or else we might malfunction? That's crazy. I think about this often. I really do. But I guess what I was getting at too is if that is the first thing people are coming to you with, sleep, and that seems to be at the top of my list, I guess. But isn't that it's a symptom of all these other things that are going on in your life? But if you're focusing on that one little piece of pie, like we were talking about earlier, then once you eat this little sleep pie slice, then you can move on to your movement and then a different part of wellness. So it's an entire wellness approach, not a should.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, what are some of your personal goals at this point? I'm not talking about helping others, but just yourself. What is it you're looking for? I remember when you go into a gym for the first time and somebody said, what do you want to do? Do you want to tighten up your abs or whatever? And it's you realize it's this checklist. But I mean, for you personally, are there certain things where you go, I'd like to really focus more on this, and I'm really keen and interested in this part of well-being. Yeah.
Thank you. The area that I'm really trying to hold myself accountable to for my health and well-being is meditation. So for the last 3 weeks, probably, I've really been enjoying the few minutes that I'm taking to sit in silence. Now I use an app called Insight Timer. I think it is awesome because you can choose the amount of time. So if you only have 4 minutes, you can choose a meditation for 4 minutes or a song that's 4 minutes. If you have 25 minutes, whatever, you can pick and choose based on how you're feeling. I also have a couple of meditations on there if you want to try them. But for me, that's one of the areas around wellness that I have been committing to and seeing a difference in my level of calm, my level of ease. I can notice a decrease in my general stress, and it's helping me to connect to what I actually want to work on. So sometimes we talk about what should we be focusing on right now. I have had when you talked about FOMO earlier, I have had this thing in my life where I want to do many things and be involved in many things. And I find myself sometimes running at full speed in many different ways. So when I started leading meditations, people were kind of like, holy smokes, you are like the opposite of calm. Okay. So it's kind of like this, I'm so glad that I gave it a chance because I feel so much better. I can still be my high energetic self, but I have connected with something that makes me feel really good, even if I only take a couple of minutes, or before I'm going to go speak for one of my webinars, I take a couple of minutes and I just instead of getting into the fear roller coaster that sometimes people might get into about whatever might kind of charge them up around fear, I'm trying to tune in. So that's an area for myself that I've really been focusing on. And the other big thing for me is at the beginning of 2020, I had decided I wanted to write a book. And then all of this chaos happened, right? Our kids were home with us for months and months and months.
And we're all teachers all of a sudden.
And months and months and months, right? And so it mostly got put on the back burner. And so that's the other thing that I've really been focusing on, is trying to get this book done so I can, feel really happy. And I feel so good when I'm working on it. So, we often put things for ourselves last. And this is something that makes me feel good. So I've been focusing on putting more time into that.
I'll read that book, Amy.
In the last couple of years,
Well, it's about poop, so you might love it.
Oh yeah, shoot, we need to talk about poop. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
In the last couple of years, do you want to ask yours
yeah,
first?
I'll ask this first. So in the last couple of years, an expression that I hear time and again on some shows that I'll check out are bring the best version of yourself to something, right?
Yeah.
And the one
Mine isn't always up and at 'em.
No, I was gonna say the most attractive idea about that is what they give an example like, how about at the next family gathering? It's going to be stressful. Bring the best version of yourself and kind of be a watcher of yourself and mindful and use these new skills and get yourself through that visit in a way that is beneficial to you and to the people around you, and then come out of it feeling like, well, I brought the best version of myself to that visit that otherwise I may have in the past have been my worst version, right? Depending. Anyways, have you seen that in yourself, Amy, where you've been able to see your own growth and development and go, you know what, I feel like I'm more well-equipped now to handle certain things?
Honestly, I would share a story about that from a coaching call with a client where she shared how she brought the best version of herself. She showed up. Now, we've been doing work for quite some time on mindset and how people trigger. And we talk in our coaching calls about, like, what are you celebrating? What do you know you've made shifts in? And she was celebrating how she had just been with some family members who in the past have really been triggers for her, and how proud of herself that she was, that she could be with them and hold this space for them in the rants that the person was having, and that she didn't dive in and make it a part of her own energy and her own story, but she just was able to be there, like, as you said, as her best self, has this version, and she was just so proud of herself. And that's why I love this work, because it's these moments where we can take the learning and actually apply it to real life, right? Where certain things trigger us. How can we show up in a different way because we've done some work on that?
That's a beautiful thing when that happens too, about how did you say it? You said holding space for somebody. So I've definitely been there when remember the Looney Tunes character was near the end, the Tasmanian devil, is someone spinning around you with energy. Could be positive, could be negative, could be information, whatever it is, but you are not obligated to hop in there with them. You can let them do it and fizzle out, or, you can walk away while they're still talking, or, offer advice, or just smile and nod, whatever it is that is your best version of yourself. And holding that space, I love those words, so that they can do their thing and it's not about you. It's got nothing to do with you. You're just present for this experience that they're having. I think when you can do that for them, it is changing your behavior, right?
Absolutely.
And then they're not a trigger anymore.
That's right.
They can trigger happy themselves into oblivion, but you don't have to hop in there with them.
It doesn't have to become your thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard family members where there's a wedding coming up, or maybe an event like that, and you say,
that gets people weird. I'm a wedding photographer.
So how are you going to handle that when you see so-and-so who you haven't seen in 3 years, and you still seem to harbor a lot of anger towards them? And I hear people say, well, I'll ignore them. I won't look at them and I won't talk to them. So they go into these situations with it's just already just not good energy, and not, is that right?
Yes.
I've seen people, ask brides and grooms not to invite people they aren't getting along with.
No.
Right.
That's wild. I mean, it's not applicable this year, but that's wild.
I mean, I once heard a comedian say something like, people don't talk about the joy or the benefits of a great bowel movement. People just don't talk about those things.
Yeah, let's talk poop.
Yeah. Tell us about your book and what you're doing.
I thought you were going to say, tell us about your bowel movement.
Yeah.
Tell us about your poop. Well, today.
Yeah. And what's in your fridge?
I love it. Yes. So my kids actually look at the podcast mic and talk into it like, "Hi, I'm Amy Ballantyne." They'll do this voice, and I'm the poop master, Amy. Yeah, so that's the joke. So the book is Mr. Poop Knows Poop. So this book is a book for kids to help them learn about their digestive system and their poop. But I'm also trying to teach the adults as well, because they're the ones going to be reading it to the children, right? So kind of twofold there. But I don't think enough people talk about poop. We all do it. And sometimes from my webinars, for example, that's the thing that gets people kind of laughing, because it, I guess, is pretty funny to talk about bathroom talk, right? But the reality is, if you're not pooping every day, it's a signal of something going on in your health. So this is, again, where when I'm working with somebody, I dive into the areas and challenges that people are going through in their life and their health, and what is it they want to focus on. And if poop is one of those things, there's some strategies that we can talk about. With the book, I've tried to keep it mostly simple, even though there's some, things about the organs and what's happening with the liver and the digestive system of, the small intestine and the anus. Yes. And there's pictures of a little Mr. Poop Man. So I'm trying to make it more fun and help people to remember that we need to have this conversation. And I think that if we can help our kids talk about it more, it's very often that this is a topic around the dinner table at our house, and it's not weird. It's not anything. There's no extra story around it, because it's so natural. It's so human. It's what we do every single day. So I ask my kids, how was their poop? What is it looking like? What shape was it? I want to know what's happening with their body, because it's a really good indicator. And often I maybe don't bring it up in my first conversation with a client, but sometimes I do, if that's the thing that they want to talk about more specifically about their nutrition, it does come up as to how frequently they're pooping. So that's the book. I'm excited. I'm wrapping up the illustrations and hoping to have it out soon. So
Are you illustrating also?
I am, yes.
Is this photographic or is this like hand drawn?
It is not.
Is it claymation molded? Is it molded?
No, it is drawings. Oh my gosh, you're hilarious. Is it photographic?
I think it's so important though to teach the kids, because with anything, right? With anything, if we teach them that it's okay, and these are normal things to talk about, and whatever it is that they're going through, somebody else has gone through it before, and we have tools to figure this out. That's the whole essence of it. That's how we mold the next generation of poops.
Well, I think a book like this has the potential to be incredibly captivating in the way that the book, Where Did I Come From?
Yeah.
That it was made in the 70s, maybe. Yep. I remember as a kid seeing that and thinking, what is this all about? I couldn't stop looking at it, Yeah, Thanks, Amy.
Yeah.
Where do you think things are going as we start to wrap up?
Yeah.
Once we come out of COVID, where do you think people will be? I tend to think that I'm not sure everybody will be really happy when we come out of the pandemic completely. I think there's going to be we're going to learn a lot about ourselves once we come out of it. And there'll be a lot of, not quite what people are thinking. I don't know if everybody will have made these huge changes in their life and have a whole new mindset. But how do you feel about it? I'm more interested in how you think about that.
What you think.
We've all heard the quote, we're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same kind of boat. I think that it's very hard to answer this question, because my boat looks different than yours, each of yours, right? In our family, and I hate to say this for the people who have had like the worst experience during COVID, but it has been one of the best things that ever happened for us to have my husband working from home.
Yeah.
Like life-changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for others, this has been awful, right? So I don't like tooting the yay horn too loudly, because I know it's been a really traumatic time for lots and lots of people. But for others, there's been some wonderful gifts, like truly wonderful gifts happening.
Well, thanks for meeting us in Bonn Park. Please like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on the platform that you're listening to. And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bonn Park Podcast. Original music by Alan Lung.